Tuesday, January 28th, 2025. And yet again today on The View, Donald Trump's immigration roundup was the topic of conversation. I hate the fact that we're in the loop of we're just going to talk about one topic over and over again and beat it to death, um, making the same points over and over again. But I will just highlight a couple of things that came out of this particular episode. Whoopi is right, and I think they all agreed there isn't anyone saying that um, someone who's committing a crime who shouldn't be in the country shouldn't be in the country. If you get caught committing the crime, back you go. It's kind of a non-starter. Um, so in this, I feel bad for Lake and Riley's family who just get dragged through the mud and by Republicans over and over again, having to sort of relive her death. I get it, Amy Alyssa Farfar Griffin. There are things that have happened where people who've come into the country have committed violent crimes. Yes, it happens, and so those people should be removed. But to Joy's point, more crimes are committed by people that live in this country and are from this country. Um, we don't have anywhere to put them, but this administration just released 1,500 of them, violent offenders, back into the general populace. So it's hugely um, hypocritical to say we're getting rid of the criminals when we're also releasing our own criminals back into the general public. Um, and again, Sonny Hostin, the hero, um, points out statistics that illegal immigrants are less likely to commit crimes. They don't want to get caught. Um, and then Amy Alyssa Farfar Griffin has to say, well, that's the same thing as you tell people that crime's not that bad, but they don't feel it. You know what, though? They're not feeling it either. All these people that are just screaming about crime statistics don't live in the places that they're talking about the crimes happening. They don't, they're just listening to Fox News talking points. So yes, part of the way that you work against that is to actually provide facts. Um, it can't be the only way, but you have to call out the fact that what they're saying is not true. Um, and then she pointed out that we're only focusing, this administration is only focusing on the southern border and brown people that are coming into the country, which is 100% correct. We're not focusing on the other, and I think she said 40%, I think that's right, of people that are in this country from all over around the world that aren't coming from Mexico, South America, or Central America. Um, and I'm not saying we should. It's clearly a racist endeavor when you're only focusing on part of the immigration. Um, and she also pointed out something that I wholeheartedly agree with, that um, you can't refer to people as illegals. Um, that is, she's right, xenophobic um, and dehumanizing. The other thing is, Alyssa was like, they should be on a path to citizenship. You don't need to be on a path to citizenship to stay in this country. You can stay long term without becoming a citizen. Um, the whole idea of a legal alien. Um, uh, you can live, work, pay taxes. You can't vote, but you operate just like any other American citizen without the right to vote. You don't need to become a citizen to stay in this country, and that's a part of our immigration process. And that's the thing when people talk about legal immigrants, that's who they are. They're not um, you know excuse me, they're not um, migrants who've become U.S. citizens. They are people from other countries who live here on a permanent basis. Um, then they had Alan Cumming on. He's not from here. I don't know if he's a citizen of the United States or not, but um, he sure isn't from here. He's an immigrant. Anyway, uh, so that whole conversation is just going to become tiresome if we continue to talk about it. What I don't understand is that we're not talking about so many of the other things that Trump is trying to do because we're distracted by the big show pony immigration farce. Amy Alyssa was wearing her little yellow pin, which currently is symbolizing the Israeli hostages. It used to be to support the troops, and for a while it was about cancer research. But if she's wearing this pin, in solidarity with the Israeli um, uh, um, hostages. There's more than just Israelis that are being held hostage in Hamas. But why aren't we talking about what his plan is for that, which is just to move um, all of the Palestinians into what, Egypt and Jordan? Is that who he asked to take them all? And he's used the word clear the place out, which is literally an ethnic cleansing. That's clear the place out. Um, so that what? Uh, Little boy Jared Kushner can put a bunch of hotels there because he thinks that waterfront's pretty nice. It's so gross. And where the hell are all those protesters? Remember, at every one of Harris's rallies, there would be protesters screaming about free Palestine. You got to wonder, they're not. They don't seem to be screaming anything right now at Trump, and they never went to a Trump rally to scream the same thing. So one has to question what their motivation was, and who got them there. You know, were those really protesters that were standing up for the Palestinians, or was that simply theater meant to create a headline that was anti-Harris? I don't know. I trust nothing about the last election anymore now, so that's fun. Um, and he signed an executive order to halt grant funding for um, all sorts of life-saving efforts around the world, including HIV medicine, which means that, and if this goes on long enough, like this is medicine that's keeping people alive. It's keeping their HIV numbers down. Without it, um, you know, they get into full-blown AIDS and they die. That's what's going to happen. Like he's just killing people, canceling funding for cancer research because we don't need to find any more better solutions for curing cancer or treating it. Like when Joy says the cruelty is the point, she's right. The cruelty is the point. Erasing the fact that trans people exist is just cruelty. There's no need for it. They aren't causing the problem. And fucking Nancy Mace and Lauren Boebert running through the halls of the Capitol looking in women's restrooms to see if there's a trans person actually called the police on someone who turned out to be a cisgendered woman. Like, what the fuck? This is what we're spending our time doing? It's what we're spending our money and resources on? And the Democratic politicians aren't helping. A strongly worded letter or a statement on Twitter isn't helping. Take them to court, sue them, scream louder, go on every fucking show and say the Republicans are doing this. Make them own it. And what it's going to cause. I just, and you know what? Yeah, scream about the price of eggs. It's just, it's ridiculous. I did see a clip somewhere that someone posted, and I can't remember anybody's names. I'm still in a fog of this cloud, of this cold. But that jackass who's on CNN, who's the Republican apologist, he's a complete fuckwit, was talking about Elon's Nazi salute and calling it, salute gate, the thing that never happened, and blah blah blah. And some woman was on there, and she said, "If you think it's such a fine thing to do, that it's okay, do it right now. Show me on television that you're willing to make that same gesture and say that it's fine." And he backed right the fuck down. And that's the thing. I think unless we're calling this shit to their faces hard, they're just going to continue to say, oh, well, we're getting away with it. And that's where I want to see Democratic politicians calling their shit hard. Huh. That was unfortunate phrasing, but I don't see any of it. They're just laying down. So I don't see how we get anywhere, and I don't see how the Democratic Party, in any way, inspires anyone. If we ever get to have another election again, um, that's legal and fair. And I think Whoopi kind of said it succinctly. Lots of people are bad about lots of stuff, but he was just the loudest. And I think that there's something to that. That the Democratic Party isn't loud enough, and we're not calling it out, calling it what it is, and we're we're relying on platitudes. We need to say the words, but I don't know. I might have to lay down.